Back. It's Nelson Mandela Month and several initiatives that are of service to society are underway. The Green Development Foundation is also taking part in Mandela Day initiatives. They were selected to be the strategic partner for Mandela Day under the Climate, Food and Solidarity theme. Let's find out more from Sylvia Graham as to what services means to the organisation. She joins me now in studio. Sylvia, thanks so much for visiting us here in studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
So usually when we think of Mandela Day, we think of blanket drives, food drives, basic community upliftment, people reaching out to their neighbours on a bigger scale as well. But we very seldom connect climate into that picture. And yet you've been selected to be the strategic partner this year. How did that come about?
So in terms of Mandela Day, you're correct. In past times, it has been around the blankets, giving out to the community. However, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, under the Mandela Day program, selected food security as a key strategic area that they'd like to focus on. And that's where the theme, food, climate and solidarity, came about. But it's more importantly looking at the intersection between climate change and food security and looking at ways in which we can tackle these types of issues. It goes without saying that climate change is upon us. We've seen many climatic conditions that have affected normal South Africans, but we grapple with questions around how do we properly address these issues and then deal with issues around food security. So as the Green Development Foundation, we're promoting tree planting and particularly fruit trees, so that then that shows that connection between climate change and food security. We've learned within the communities that we've worked in that the fruit tree turns into a sort of asset that is looked after, looked after by the community and then benefits them later on, but also has that carbon reduction capacity.
So when we look at climate change, we often see the most devastating impacts in communities where there is deep inequality, devastating poverty. Those are the people who are the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And that's what sort of Mandela Day simultaneously is all about, is reaching out to those very communities who are in need. So you're saying we can achieve community upliftment goals simply by focusing on mitigating climate change?
Correct. We are working in the most affected communities. And I think that it's important to reflect on what climate change means to people within these communities. For a very long time, it's been a subject that has been discussed by scientists and academics. But, the brunt of the effects affect the communities that you've just spoken to. So by us going into these communities, promoting tree planting, promoting greening, promoting the planting of fruit trees in particular, gives us an opportunity to really uplift them, but also have an opportunity to really engage around the realities of climate change. So climate change doesn't only affect or is linked to fruit tree planting, but even agriculture. The ways in which weather conditions are changing shows us that small subsistence farmers are greatly affected by these types of issues. So us being able to go into these communities, promote greening, promote tree planting, but also the backyard and home-based gardens gives us an opportunity to really capacitate the communities that you've just spoken of.
So what are the plans, not just for Mandela Day itself on the 18th, but also for the whole month?
Right. So as the Green Development Foundation, we'll be activating. We have an exciting initiative on the 17th. We've partnered with City Sightseeing and Joburg City Parks. So we'll be on the red bus in Johannesburg. We will pass by the Nelson Mandela Foundation, where we planted a tree with them. And then we'll culminate at the Joburg Zoo to plant a tree ceremonially, marking a build up to the 18th of July. On the 18th, we are in Thokoza Park with Joburg City Parks, and we'll be joined by the Mayor of Johannesburg there. So there'll be a ceremonial tree planting, and we'll also be activating at a local school in Soweto in their garden. But the long-term plans for us are to green, to plant as many trees as possible. It's a subject matter that I think has been pushed to the side a bit. So there's a lot of resource mobilization and fundraising that we are engaged in to ensure that we have the funds to do this, but to elevate the messaging around the importance of greening our communities, greening communities that have been left behind in this initiative, and then also focusing on our home-based and community gardens, raising the funds that are needed in order for us to continue doing this work.
A lot of what Mandela Day and Mandela Month is about is aimed at trying to get children involved in these initiatives, to teach that spirit of community, of giving back to the youth. That's where it starts, in the home, and then reaching out. How is the Green Development Foundation also specifically targeting the youth in helping them understand this idea of greening, of looking after our resources, of becoming or going back to being self-contained or self-sustained?
Right. That's a great question. The Green Development Foundation is a young organization, so it's run by young people that are passionate about the environment, passionate about greening. We also have a mascot called Buti Green. I wish he could have joined us, but he's quite busy this month. So Buti Green is a resource that we use particularly in schools. So we've got a lot of school activations. He's also got a curriculum that he's developed that shares the messaging, that has an education and awareness component to the work.
Mandela initiative drive some greening initiatives across Johannesburg and across the country. And that was Sylvia Graham from the Green Development Foundation.